Carlos Alcaraz ignited social media like never before, and the moment came from the most unexpected place: his own living room. A simple photograph, posted just minutes after Spain secured a heroic victory over the Czech Republic to reach the Davis Cup semi-finals, became one of the most commented tennis images of the entire week. Not because of the victory itself, not because of a controversial point, not even because of a rival, but because of what fans spotted sitting quietly behind Alcaraz in the frame. While Spain fought in Bologna without their number one star, who was forced to withdraw due to a hamstring edema, Carlos followed every point from home. And when the decisive match ended, he grabbed his phone, snapped a picture, and uploaded it with a message that instantly exploded online: "Let's go," accompanied by a Spanish flag. But it wasn't the message. It was the background. There, casually placed on a shelf behind him, fans noticed a surreal sight: a Wimbledon trophy, a US Open trophy, and several major awards displayed almost like decorative pieces someone would grab at a local furniture store. One user joked, "He puts a Wimbledon trophy and a US Open trophy on a cabinet like they're a vase from Leroy Merlin. That's Carlos." Another added, "The fact that he stores his Grand Slam trophies the way normal people store old-school diplomas has me crying." Within minutes, phrases like Alcaraz's trophy cabinet, Carlos house, Davis Cup sofa scene, and King Carlos living room were trending on X, Instagram, and TikTok. The casualness of the moment, the contrast between two Grand Slam titles and a normal family shelf, and the timing, right after Spain's victory, turned the image into instant viral material. And while fans were celebrating and laughing at the wholesome photo, the ATP dropped breaking news. Carlos Alcaraz had been nominated once again for the Stefan Edberg Sportsmanship Award, one of the most prestigious honors in the sport. He previously won it in 2023, and now he shares the 2025 shortlist with Felix Auger-Aliassime, Gregor Dimitrov, and Casper Ruud. Noticeably absent? Jannik Sinner and Novak Djokovic. Djokovic's absence is unsurprising given his emotional outbursts on court. Sinner's absence, however, raised eyebrows. The Italian has long been considered one of the most respectful competitors on tour, but the ATP's criteria remain internal and often unpredictable. The nominations didn't end there. In the coaches category, two members of Alcaraz's team, Juan Carlos Ferrero and Samuel Lopez, were also announced among the candidates for ATP Coach of the Year. Ferrero already won the award in 2022 and remains one of the most influential figures in Alcaraz's development. But behind the good news, Carlos gave one of the most honest interviews of his career. Still recovering at home, the world number one sat down with Marca to revisit some of the most painful emotional moments he has lived on a tennis court. In particular, he recalled two heartbreaking losses alongside Rafael Nadal. First in the Davis Cup last year, and then in the doubles event at the Paris Olympics. Losing the doubles at the Paris Olympics with Rafa was harder than the Davis Cup. "I was very down after the match," he admitted, in a rare emotional confession. For a player who has won 6 Grand Slam titles at just 22 years old, hearing him speak about responsibility, guilt, and sadness adds layers to his public image. And he also addressed comparisons with Nadal, Federer, and Djokovic with blunt humility. "I'm still nowhere near. Not even close." But the conversation inevitably circled back to the topic every fan keeps asking about: his rivalry with Jannik Sinner. Nikola Mahut recently claimed that Sinner is obsessed with beating Alcaraz, and the Spaniard finally responded, calmly, directly, and with honesty that once again stirred headlines across the tennis world. Alcaraz didn't hesitate when asked about Mahut's comments. He didn't avoid the question. He didn't deflect. Instead, he gave an answer that perfectly captured the essence of the Alcaraz-Sinner rivalry: competitive, honest, and rooted in mutual respect. "I think both of us are," he said. "He has lost 2 or 3 matches in the last 2 years, and most of them were against me. Jannik needs to look and think about what he has to improve to beat the player he hasn't been able to beat more often. It's logical and normal." A sentence that broke the internet. Not because it was arrogant, but because it was true, and because it showed how deeply these two champions study each other. Alcaraz didn't deny that Sinner thinks about him constantly. He simply explained that the feeling goes both ways. "I have lost to more players," he admitted, "but my mindset is always the same. Improve so that the next time we face each other, I am a better player." And that's the secret behind the rivalry that is redefining modern tennis. Two players who are not just obsessed with beating each other, they are obsessed with becoming the best versions of themselves. The results? 6 Grand Slam finals combined in the last 2 seasons, endless Masters finals, and matches that already feel like part of tennis history. That's why their next chapter, after Alcaraz recovers from his current injury, could be even bigger than what we've seen so far. But the interview didn't end there. Carlos went deeper, including a rare look at his emotional struggles earlier this season. When asked about the last time tennis made him cry, he didn't hide it. "It was in Miami," he said. "Yes, in Miami." He didn't reveal every detail, but it's widely known that Miami 2024 was one of his lowest emotional points, a tournament where he felt mentally exhausted and pressured after a string of difficult losses. That moment led him to work more intensely with his psychologist, Isabel Balaguer, although he now admits he is speaking with her less and less due to his improved mental stability. "I talk with her when I feel the need," he explained. "Luckily, since Miami, I haven't felt that need because everything has gone very well, and I have felt good both on and off the court." It's an evolution that even his rivals notice. In fact, Jannik Sinner himself recently praised Alcaraz for becoming much more complete mentally this season. But perhaps the most emotional part of Carlos' interview came when he was asked about the Davis Cup, a tournament that seems to carry a special weight in his life. His first ever contact with the competition was as a young fan sitting in the stands in Valencia, watching David Ferrer battle Germany in a legendary 5-set match. That memory still drives him today. Ferrero, his coach, has also shared stories about the unforgettable 2000 Davis Cup victory in Barcelona, calling it a moment that changed everything for Spanish tennis. Those stories shaped Carlos' dream of one day winning the trophy himself. And when asked whether he feels the Davis Cup owes him something after so many painful interruptions, injuries in 2023, 2024, and now 2025, his answer was pure Alcaraz. "I don't know if the Davis Cup owes me anything, but I'm sure the moment will come. I prefer sooner rather than later, but someday it will happen." It's clear how much this team event means to him. But perhaps the biggest surprise of the week came not from interviews, nor press conferences, nor official statements, but from something completely different: a joint sit-down interview with his greatest rival. Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner together, side by side, sharing stories about their lives, their journeys, and the reality of facing each other more often than anyone else on tour. In their conversation for CNN Sports, both players revealed a dynamic that few fans had imagined. They laughed, joked, and even teased each other about how often they see one another in locker rooms, practice courts, and finals. At one point, Alcaraz joked, "Sometimes I see Jannik more than my mother." And Sinner didn't deny it. "When you train together and face each other so often, it's natural that you get to know each other," the Italian explained. "Off the court, we forget the rivalry." It was a rare window into a relationship that fans usually only see through the lens of competition. A rivalry built not on hostility, but on respect, admiration, and a shared desire to push the limits of the sport. And that is exactly why their next matches, their next finals, and their next battles for the world #1 ranking will matter even more. What truly shocked fans around the world was how openly both players discussed their personal evolution. Not just as competitors, but as human beings trying to navigate a global spotlight that grows heavier every year. Sinner, for example, was asked about expanding his game, his variety, his serve, his unpredictability, and his response revealed a new level of maturity. He explained that after the US Open final, he and his team decided he needed to add more dimensions to his game. More slice, more net play, more variations in rhythm. And for the first time, those changes became visible during the final stretch of the season. "My serve has evolved in a positive way," he said. "From the back of the court, I try to be more unpredictable. It's still not perfect, but I feel there is progress." He even pointed out that playing against Alcaraz forces him to evolve at an accelerated rate because every small detail, every decision, every shot selection, carries enormous weight. Against most players, the difference is clear. Against Alcaraz, the margins are microscopic. "You have to give a lot of credit to Carlos," Sinner added. "Every point you have to earn the right way. You have to push over the limit." That sentence alone captured the essence of their battles. They don't just play tennis matches, they test each other's limits. They force each other to become better than the day before. And Carlos agrees. In his own interviews, he has repeatedly said that facing Sinner pushes him mentally and technically in a way no other rival does. It's not animosity. It's not hostility. It's pure competitive fire combined with deep personal respect. That's why their joint interview became such a viral moment. Fans aren't used to seeing two megastars laughing together while talking about their rivalry, but Alcaraz and Sinner make it feel natural. Sinner even admitted that part of the friendship they share is built through constant exposure. You see each other every day. Practice, tournaments, locker room. It's normal to get to know each other. What stood out most was Sinner describing how his team gets along incredibly well with the Alcaraz team. Coaches, physios, trainers, all of them interacting behind the scenes with respect and even affection. That dynamic is extremely rare in tennis. Federer and Djokovic respected each other, but their entourages were distant. Nadal and Djokovic admired each other, but their teams had very different philosophies. Alcaraz and Sinner? Their groups share jokes, share practice sessions, share dinners. It's a new era. But what happens on the court? Everything changes. Sinner said it clearly. On court, it's work. It's competition. It's a different world. That separation, friendship off the court, war on the court, is what makes their rivalry so compelling. It feels like a modern version of Federer versus Nadal, but with a twist. They are much closer personally, and they grew up in a tennis environment shaped by transparency, social media, and joint training sessions. The more they face each other, the more their bond grows, and the more dramatic their matches become. To highlight this dynamic, the CNN interview reminded viewers of a striking statistic. In the last 24 months, Alcaraz and Sinner have played more finals against each other than any other pair of players in the world. Grand Slams, Masters 1000, ATP Finals, even exhibitions. And the craziest part? Their head-to-head is nearly balanced. Their total points played over their rivalry, more than 3,300, are split almost exactly 50-50. It's a mathematical tie between two of the most explosive players of their generation. That's why the tennis world is obsessed with them. Every time they step on court together, fans know they're about to witness something special, something unpredictable, something historical. And their personal relationship makes the whole package even more fascinating. It's not just tennis. It's psychology. It's sportsmanship. It's evolution. As Sinner said, the important thing is balance. Balance between friendship and rivalry, between pressure and freedom, between progress and stability. That's the delicate point both players are navigating as they prepare for 2026, a year expected to redefine everything. And just as fans were processing that interview, Carlos Alcaraz dropped a bombshell of his own. A story from the past, one of the saddest, most difficult defeats of his life. A moment he had never fully shared until now. And then came the moment nobody expected. Carlos Alcaraz revealing one of the saddest defeats of his life. A moment that shaped him, hurt him, and still follows him to this day. It wasn't a Grand Slam final. It wasn't a match against Sinner. It wasn't even a tournament he lost for ranking implications. It was the Paris Olympics. The doubles match alongside Rafael Nadal. A match that, according to Alcaraz, left him devastated. He admitted it publicly for the first time. Losing the doubles at the Paris Olympics with him was harder than the Davis Cup. I was really down after the match. This wasn't just about tennis. It was about sharing the court with his idol, his childhood hero, on one of the biggest stages in the world. And losing that match felt like letting Spain down, letting Rafa down, and letting himself down. He even compared it to one of the darkest Davis Cup moments of his life, when he and Marcel Granollers lost in Malaga during Nadal's farewell. But the Olympics hurt more. Much more. Why? Because the Olympics aren't just another tournament. They are history. They are legacy. They are moments that define careers. And Alcaraz, despite already being a 6-time Grand Slam champion, still feels the weight of those emotional defeats. It's a reminder that behind the trophies, behind the superstar aura, behind the world #1 ranking, there is a 22-year-old kid who cares deeply about representing his country. That emotional vulnerability is part of what makes him such a powerful ambassador for tennis. Fans don't just admire his achievements, they connect with his humanity. But Alcaraz didn't stop there. He opened up about the mental battles he faces, explaining that since Miami he has felt lighter, more stable, more connected to the work he does with his psychologist Isabel Balaguer. He even admitted something extremely unusual in elite sports. He works better when he talks less. Juani and Samu talk with her a lot, he said. They give her the information she needs so she can help me. I talk to her when I need to vent or when things get heavy. That need-to-vent moment after Miami marked a turning point in his season, right before he went on to win Roland Garros and the US Open. But perhaps the most striking detail of all is how he views fame. He loves that it allows him to meet idols, travel the world, and open doors he never imagined. But at the same time, I can't be as calm as I'd like. I'm natural. I like to walk. But I can't do it without someone stopping me or watching me. That's the worst part. These confessions reveal a version of Alcaraz that fans rarely see. Thoughtful, introspective, aware of the gigantic weight he carries. A weight that only one person understands completely. Jannik Sinner. That's why their rivalry is so unique. They push each other to the limit. They study each other. They learn from each other. They evolve because of each other. And yet, as they admitted together, off the court, we forget the rivalry. But on the court, it's war. Their 2025 season proved it. Finals at Roland Garros. Finals at the US Open. Finals at Wimbledon. Finals at ATP Finals. Dozens of tactical battles. Hundreds of hours studying each other's games. And now, 2026 is coming. The year in which the generational change will finally solidify. The year Djokovic may no longer be the measuring stick. The year Alcaraz and Sinner are expected to dominate every surface, every tournament, every ranking update. It will also be the year where the emotional weight of the Davis Cup, the Olympics, the pressure, the rivalry, and the expectations will collide into one explosive season. A season that begins in Australia, where Carlos Alcaraz, regardless of what happens, will remain world number one. A season where Sinner defends 0 points for months. A season where every match between the two could decide the future of tennis. Alcaraz said it clearly. I'm nowhere near Federer, Nadal, or Djokovic. Maybe not in numbers. Maybe not yet. But in mentality, in hunger, in leadership, in the size of his impact, he is already one of the giants. And the best part? His story is only beginning.